It's another beautiful morning in the nation's capital, and of course, you are tuned to Rapid TV, and we hope that you've enjoyed our real programming thus far. Well, in my usual tradition, good morning, and of course, welcome to Rapid TV's continuously evolving social, political, and general interest show we call Korero. I am your regular host, Kamian John the Beloved, and of course, in the last couple of days, the FCT has also been in the news, not for the good things, but regardless, certain developments have happened that we have decided to shift our searchlight and begin to look at those developments that have happened in recent times. Particularly the fact that commuters were left stranded on Thursday as a truck overturned in close proximity to the same site where a tragic truck explosion at Carew Bridge happened during the week, claiming lives on Wednesday, March 19, 2025. The latest development has excavated the already challenging traffic conditions in that area. A widely circulated video from an eyewitness depicts the truck positioned across the road, obstructing the passage of vehicles, especially those traveling towards Nyanya, a suburb in the FCT. Now, this incident resulted in several delays for commuters utilizing the heavy traffic route. Officials from the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, and other law enforcement agencies were reportedly seen at the scene, actively engaged in clearing the vehicle and restoring normalcy to traffic flow. Now, this recent accident occurred shortly after a devastating explosion on the Karu Nyanya Road on Wednesday evening, which resulted in a large fire that consumed several vehicles, claiming the lives of approximately 10 individuals and leaving many outside or many others with serious injuries. Meanwhile, the special advisor to the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Nanuga, debunked reports that suggested that the compressed natural gas CNG cylinder in the truck that ran into a petrol tanker in Karu, Abuja on Wednesday caused the explosion. The presidential media aide, in a post via his official X account Thursday morning, said the CNG cylinder in the truck did not explode and was recovered intact, while denying certain reports that the explosion of the CNG cylinder was responsible for the tragic explosion which occurred Wednesday night. On today's edition of Rapid TV's continuously evolving social, political, and general interest show, Korero, we will be focused on CNG, compressed natural gas, especially as the Tinubu-led administration has advocated that Nigerians convert their petrol engine cars to CNG. So, as always, the show is live and interactive on all our social media platforms, and you can be part of the conversation simply by following, liking, and subscribing to our YouTube channel and, of course, all our social media platforms. Don't forget, our handle is at official Rapid TV, at official Rapid TV. And if you choose, you could also engage us via our WhatsApp portal with the number 0916 771 6035. 0916 771 6035. Now, before we go into today's conversation, let's also update you as a fallout of the developments that happened on Wednesday and Thursday along the Nyanya Karu route, right? President Bola Tinubu has directed a thorough investigation into the tanker explosion that resulted in multiple accidents and loss of lives in Karu, Abuja on Wednesday night. The president condoled with the family members who lost loved ones in the inferno, which happened at the peak hour. President Tinubu ordered priority treatment of the injured in various medical facilities across the capital city. The president directed security agencies, and particularly those concerned with road safety, to pay closer attention to traffic around the capital city entry and exit points. President Tinubu prayed for the souls of the departed and the grace of the Almighty God to comfort families that have lost their loved ones. In the same vein, the First Lady of the Federation, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has mourned the victims of the tanker explosion that occurred along the Abuja-Kefi Express on Wednesday evening. Now, in a statement issued on Thursday, the First Lady, while mourning with the families of the accident victims, called on vehicle owners, especially those with articulated vehicles, to ensure that their vehicles are roadworthy. So, again, if you're just tuned in, the show hasn't gone far. We haven't begun to get into the meat of the matter just yet. But just to remind you, as always, that we are live and interactive on all our social media platforms. Today on the show, our discussion is focused on CNG, compressed natural gas, following the tragic truck explosion at Karu Bridge in Abuja, claiming lives on Wednesday, March 19, 2025. And then the fact that the Tinubu-led administration's initiative on compressed natural gas, where a mandate target of 1 million vehicles are supposed to be converted from petrol engine to compressed natural gas. Joining me to have this conversation this morning is the investment coordinator, presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, Babajide Awolowo. Babajide, it's great to have you join us on the show this morning.
John. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let me get down to, I think the first question would naturally be, how safe is compressed natural gas? There's been mixed reactions to the sad incident that happened on Wednesday. And the mere fact that reports emanated suggesting that one of the trucks was using compressed natural gas, and that could have been the reason for the explosion, considering the fact that it ran into a tanker that was heavy laden with inflammable petroleum products. So, but the major question right now is, how safe is CNG?
I think CNG is very safe. CNG, as we know, is 8 times less explosive than diesel. It's 18 times less explosive than PMS. When Nigerians hear gas, obviously where their thought goes to is LPG, which is the cooking gas we use in our homes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we've had a lot of explosions of LPG cylinders due to a lot of different reasons. Major reason being the fact that most of the LPG cylinders we have in our homes are expired anyway. So moving back to CNG and this unfortunate incident that happened in Karu, I can, of course, FRIC will come up with the full reports because they are in charge of, road accidents and things like that. But we can tell you authoritatively that compressed natural gas wasn't the cause of that accident. The truck was using compressed natural gas as a fuel. But as we heard from reports that we gathered, the brakes of the truck failed. Wow. And it rammed into another car. Now, obviously, when Nigerians see cylinders falling off vehicles, they get scared, thinking, oh, it must have been the gas that caused it. If the gas had exploded, they would have had a big fire, because of how LPG usually explodes. You see a big fire, you see everybody running all over the place. But with that accident, yes, we saw that the truck rammed into another car, caused some accidents. Then you will see from pictures that the LPG cylinders, most of them were still intact. The composition of LPG cylinders, it's a bit different from CNG cylinders. CNG cylinders are made from just seamless steel pipes, while LPG cylinders are welded. So if you have a seamless steel pipe that is really strong, it's bulletproof. It's not easily damaged as such. Yes, it's not easily damaged as such. Now, the kind of gas, there are different kinds of gases. The kind of gas we use for CNG is different from what we use for LPG. CNG gas is a mixture of methane and ethane. It's lighter than air. LPG, on the other hand, is propane and butane, which is a bit denser than air. So even if you puncture an CNG cylinder, the gas just goes into the air. You understand? Compared to if that happens with LPG, it stays. That is why when LPG is leaking in your kitchen, for instance, it stays there till someone comes to light a match, then there's an
ignite
explosion.
it. Mm.
It doesn't happen in that way with CNG. So that's why we keep promoting CNG as as a cleaner, safer, and cheaper alternative. It's safer than all the fuels we're using right now for our vehicles, maybe outside electric vehicles. But for hydrocarbons, I believe that CNG is one of the safest.
Mm. Okay, that brings me to my next question. I know that the use of CNG as a fuel in Nigeria started a few years ago, particularly in Edo and gradually to Lagos,
Yes.
and gradually spreading across other parts of the country. But how far has the presidential initiative on compressed natural gas CNG gone in delivering on its mandate to convert 1 million vehicles from petrol or diesel engines to CNG between
Yes.
now and 2027?
So it's basically building a brand new sector. We're building a brand new sector. You can't just convert all these vehicles without having refueling stations, without having more mother stations, without having conversion centers. So we are assisting in building all this infrastructure needed to get us to that 1 million. When we started, I think we had about 11 conversion centers. As at today, we have in total 325, then we have 183 under our conversion incentive program.
325.
Yes, we have 325 in total. You know, these are people that we're partnering with and people that are doing it by themselves.
Okay.
But the ones we're partnering with, we have 183. If you look at refueling stations, that's what normal people call the petrol stations. Refueling stations for CNG, when we came in, we had about 7. Now we have over 60. And by the end of the year, we're expecting another 100. So we're building gradually, I think right now we've converted close to 50,000 cars. This year, 50,000 cars as at last year. This year, we're aiming for 100,000. Now, this 100,000 won't happen if we don't increase our capacity in conversion, for instance. If we don't increase our capacity in refueling, for instance. If we don't increase our capacity in mother stations as well. So all these have to go hand in hand to help us reach where we want to get to. That's 1 million. Yes.
How are state governments, what's the plan in engaging state governments to be able to tap into the initiative? Why I'm asking this, in recent times we've seen state governments procure electric vehicles, you know, rather than invest in CNG vehicles.
Yes.
So where's the missing link between the presidential initiative on CNG and the incentives or the intent of state governments to be able to improve transportation for their various states at different levels?
So even in the presidential CNG program, we have a small EV, let me call it a small EV department in there as well. Because right now, I think the EV sector is a bit liberalized in Nigeria. We are not against state governments investing in EV infrastructure, for instance. But all the state governors have shown interest in CNG. And we're working together with them on different parts of the program. There are some state governments that are interested in really building CNG infrastructure. There are some that have even received CNG buses. For instance, Niger State. You know, a few other states like that have received CNG buses and are building CNG infrastructure. Nasarawa State has always supported CNG refueling units, refueling stations, you know, to fuel their own transportation fleet. What we need to understand, sir, is that adopting CNG is going to bring down the cost of transportation. Every state governor will be interested in that, because once the fuel subsidy was removed, the first thing that happened was that petrol prices shot up.
Yeah.
We know that transportation costs affect almost everything. It will affect the food prices, it will affect every other cost. Now, What state governor won't be interested in bringing this, for lack of a better word, palliative into his own state? So everybody is showing interest, and they're all, one way or the other, tapping into this initiative, and we're supporting as the catalysts for the sector, because that needs to be clearly stated that we are catalysts to the sector. We are not making all the investments. No.
I was going to ask, where is the government getting the funding? Because at this time, we all know that the country is going through an economic restructuring. And the removal of fuel subsidy is part of that gains of the removal of the fuel subsidy. Is that what the federal government is channeling into this initiative as a bid to completely turn the orientations of Nigerians to begin to look at more cost-effective means of transportation and powering their vehicles?
I think the removal of subsidy wasn't meant to channel the savings from PMS importation to another fuel. I think the removal of subsidy was meant to channel all that money we were paying as subsidies into developments. So developments could also include this small sector, which is the CNG sector. So it's not like it's being channeled directly from the savings to our own sector. No. What the Presidential CNG Initiative was supposed to do, yes, we're putting some of our skin in the game, because it's not like we have, money that is, never ending. We are meant to catalyze the private sector, or let me put it in a better way, catalyze the sector, making it attractive for people to come in. I think we have succeeded in that, because if we have been able to attract over 490 million into the sector since we started in October 2023, I think we have done, I won't say we have done considerably well, because we still have a long way to go, but we are basically moving towards where we are supposed to be.
Where did this 400 million plus come from?
Mother stations, conversion centers, refueling units, people bringing in conversion kits, people bringing in conversion cylinders, people bringing in CNG cylinders, just basically investments in the CNG infrastructure.
Generated over 400 million.
Yes, brought in about over 490 million. As you know, the private sector, they're a bit shrewd with their money. And if they do not see that there is value in the sector, they're not going to come in. They are seeing that in the next few years, the CNG thing is going to be really, really massive. Not just in Nigeria, but in West Africa, because our West African brothers are also looking at us to see how this initiative goes before they think of switching, because everybody is suffering from the high prices of PMS, which nobody has powers over.
Nigeria naturally is Africa's largest market in terms of population, in terms of market size. But the question here is, from the activation of the presidential initiative on compressed natural gas to as we speak, how have Nigerians themselves responded to the initiative? How quickly have we seen Nigerians willing to make that switch?
I think that's a very interesting question. Going back to the first question you asked me, naturally when Nigerians hear gas, they are scared. So with CNG, you have a conversion kit, then you have a cylinder, which is usually placed inside your boot because of the space. So a lot of people were scared in the beginning. I was like, oh, I'm putting this cylinder in my boot, what if it explodes? Thinking the LPG way. That just leaving this thing there. Some even said, hey, Nigeria is very hot.
Exactly.
That if I park my car, after a while the heat's cold to make the cylinder explode. So basically these things are coming from uninformed points of view. We've been doing a lot of sensitization, and we still have a lot to do, because Nigeria is a big country. A lot of people did not understand at the beginning But I can tell you now that the people that understand are really, really here for it. Our first mandate was to convert 1 million cars, but it's just not 1 million cars, it's 1 million commercial vehicles.
Oh, 1 million
1 million
commercial
commercial
vehicles.
Yes.
Not private vehicles.
Not private vehicles. 1 million, but there are plans for the private vehicles, which I'll speak on later. But 1 million commercial vehicles. So you're talking about your buses, your taxis, your luxurious buses, all those kinds of things. That's the mandate. So you will think that people like that would not understand the technology and will stay away from it. But I can tell you, from the demand we're getting and from the list that keeps growing every day, these people are all for it because they are saving so much. CNG costs a quarter of what petrol costs. You know, so we're saving a lot of money. They know they're saving a lot of money, and they know it's even more efficient. Because if you're spending all that money on petrol, on just going back and forth your route, and you can spend that same amount of money on CNG, then you'll go almost about 4 or 5 times. So they see the value in it, and the reception has been really good. You know, it's just for people to try it and see and to understand that it's not a bomb you're putting in your in your trunk. No, no. The cylinder is, you know, because we've all seen. I wish I could show you how the cylinder is manufactured. It's really it's a feat of engineering. You understand, and it's because it withstands pressure. You know, you have about 250 to 300 bar inside that cylinder. It must be a sturdy equipment. You know, so a lot of people are, yes, accepting and taking it on, and they're interested, and they're coming to meet us every day, you know, for these conversions.
Many early adopters of CNG as vehicular fuel had to switch their vehicles back to conventional fuels or abandon their vehicles eventually because retrofitting conventionally powered vehicles to run on CNG seems to affect and reduce the lifespan of the engines. How true is this? Is this not part of the fears that most Nigerians may be exhibiting and maybe inhibiting them from wanting to make that conversion?
So, with I think I'll put it in this way. With CNG, once we do the conversion, it becomes a biofuel car. So you can use either PMS or CNG. That's the first part. With every other sector in the world, once you start the conversions, it could be anything. It could be that the technicians we're training here, you know, still have a bit of a way to go, or maybe more experience. They need more experience to know how to, you know, fix these conversion kits in these cars. Because yes, in the beginning, we heard about those issues. But I think with the partnership we're having with our suppliers, of them coming in here to Nigeria to stay with our technicians for a number of months to teach them how to convert these cars, you know, in line with best standards or best practices all over the world. I think that has changed. You know, in the beginning, I know we had those issues.
Yeah, because like the vehicle that exploded in Edo State, the explanation was that it wasn't done at one of your convention centers.
It wasn't.
It was handled elsewhere, and it wasn't properly done, which gave rise to what happened.
Unfortunately, when there's a market for something, people try to cut corners. If you see the pictures of that explosion, as I mentioned, and I've mentioned it 2 or 3 times now, that a CNG cylinder is made from seamless pipes, meaning there's no welding.
There's no welding, yeah.
Once you see it's a white cylinder, if I remember the color correctly. Once you see that white cylinder, you will see that it has seams on it. As I said, 300 bars of pressure going in there. You can imagine trying to fill that cylinder. The cylinder could not withstand the pressure because it wasn't made from the material that CNG cylinders are usually made of. A welder made it. And with CNG cylinders, welders cannot make it. You need a specialized, we don't have a CNG cylinder manufacturing facility in Nigeria.
So we import those cylinders?
We import for now. But we have LPG cylinder manufacturing because it's just from steel plates. You know, they just put it together, they weld. But with CNG cylinders, it takes a professional to make those cylinders. So in Benin, it was just someone that was trying to take advantage of the fact that the CNG pilot started in Benin years ago. So they had been doing their thing. But in looking beyond that, we are also working on tougher regulations to curtail issues like this. You know, because if your cylinder is not one of the ones that have been certified by SON, you won't even get your cylinder filled at the stations anyway.
Okay, so at the filling stations,
yes,
the attendants will inspect the cylinder before they refill.
Okay, so there's something we are working on at the PCNGI. It's called the Nigerian Gas Vehicles Management System. 4 agencies are coming together to form like a big regulator for the CNG sector. We're going to have the NMDPRA,
okay,
who will be regulating the dispensing of the CNG at the pumps. We're going to have the NADDC, who will be regulating the conversion centers and certifying. They will be certifying the conversion centers and regulating the technicians that will be converting. We have the FRSC, who will be regulating the roads. Then we have SON, who will be regulating the equipment. So they're all coming together under this platform to regulate not just the CNG sector, but it's going to be the gas sector, the gas vehicles sector in general. What that does is this. We should be able to trace where a cylinder is coming from and to whom
it has been sold.
It has been sold. So once your number is put into that system at the retail station, they can see that, okay, look, this is John's cylinder, purchased from XYZ company, you know, and as you know, the cylinders have a lifespan of 20 years. They'll be able to tell how old that cylinder is. When this thing is finally activated, I think we'll have less of these things because you won't even be able to fill at the pumps if you are not carrying a certified cylinder.
Nice, nice. But the question is, how quickly will this team be activated, and how quickly will this policy be in place? Because now you already have conversions going on. So the tendency is that by the time the policy is activated, some cylinders are already aging. So how quickly will they be able to identify, notify those who have older cylinders to know that, look, your cylinder has an expiry date, so you should hopefully between this period and this period and this time to make the needed changes to replace your cylinder?
The team has been working for over 6 months now, and we're expecting within the next month that the NGVMS should be activated. Now, I'm not taking away from the fact that they've been working, you know, for example, SON has been working. They've been visiting these factories, certifying those factories. They've been regulating all the equipment coming in as well. NMDPRA has been doing massively well. NADDC has been great as well. So they've all been working, but bringing them under that umbrella so that it's a one-stop shop. It's what we're trying to achieve. So all these things are happening already. You will know when you see those cylinders that, okay, look, this is certified. And most of the people bringing those cylinders in are people that we know anyway, because most of them are bringing those cylinders in under our program. But NGVMS will help, taking it one step further by us being able to trace where it came from, when Son gave them the approval, up onto John's
purchase.
Yes.
Now, doesn't the initiative see an opportunity for investment in building factories that can actually manufacture those cylinders here so as to reduce the cost of importation, for instance, and of course, increase mass production of those cylinders. Considering the fact that we have places like Newi, where fabrication is like the number one skill. Does the initiative is the initiative looking at inculcating some of these artisans who may be able to acquire the required skill to help produce the cylinders in Nigeria?
I think you're singing my song, and if I had the space, I could have gotten up to dance to this question that you asked, because that's my remit, and that's basically what I'm doing in PCNGI. I'll give you a broad picture of the situation we're in right now. To bring in 1 million cylinders into Nigeria, 1 million cylinders and conversion kits into Nigeria, because you need both, the conversion kits and the cylinder.
Yeah.
To bring in 1 million into Nigeria, you would need over 4,000 40-foot containers.
4,000
Yes,
40-foot containers.
40-foot containers. So what you're doing is that you're creating a lot of jobs for people outside the country. I won't name the countries, but we are creating a lot of jobs for people outside the country. So we sat down and thought about it as, look, we can't be building this brand new sector and we won't squeeze as much value
from it
out of it.
Yeah.
Nigeria is the most beautiful bride now in the CNG space. Anybody who's anybody in CNG all over the world has come to talk to us, either supporting us in whatever we're doing or supplying equipment or seeing how we can work together. Anyhow, they've been here to talk to us. So what we're doing now is we are looking at a situation where we are going to support, and people have been talking to us, and that discussion started since last year. People interested in doing local manufacturing, especially of the CNG kits and the CNG cylinders. Now, anybody coming into Nigeria to want to build a factory, for instance, will ask for incentives. What are the incentives? Yes, Mr. President has graciously approved the import duty exemption for all CNG equipment, so that works. But discussions are ongoing on giving a partial offtake guarantee, even if it's a percentage of what you are producing that we are taking, because we need it. We need it because of the headache of bringing all these things from abroad. So obviously we're going to support anybody that wants to come into manufacturing locally, because it'll save us a lot. Apart from saving us, the logistics stress, we are going to be passing on knowledge to our youth. We're going to be saving in foreign exchange because we're going to start buying in Naira. We're going to be able to create jobs. Then, of course, the transfer of knowledge too will happen naturally. We want to turn Nigeria into a CNG nation, where when our West African brothers start, it is us that they will come to see first before they go east or even west. So we're working seriously on that. It's one of our main targets for this year. And we're looking at a situation because where the discussions in collaboration with other government agencies, which shows you that we're all aligned. We're all aligned. The NCDMB, everybody is aligned on this local production. And we're working well together. So we're looking at a situation where before the end of this year, we should have something to show you.
Nigeria is a big market. You've just said that the big picture is for Nigeria to become a CNG nation, a CNG hub across Africa.
Yes.
But the Chinese are here. The Chinese right now seem to be leading globally when it comes to electric cars, EVs.
Yes.
And looking at our market, some Nigerians, already across Nigeria, you see some people are driving Teslas, they're driving some kind of EV from either the Chinese or the Americans or Europe, as the case may be. Why should the average Nigerian choose CNG over an EV?
So, as I told you earlier, we're doing both. You know, there's a small component of our program that handles EVs as well. We believe that providing that privilege of choice to Nigerians is what will drive prices down. So you could decide, for instance, that it is the EV way you want to go. We will support you. You could decide that it's the CNG way you want to go. We will support you. Why CNG? I think Nigeria is the 9th largest producer of gas. Nigeria has the 9th largest reserves of gas in the world. 208 TCF. That's a lot of gas. So we're thinking as, okay, look, if we're moving away from petrol, for instance, as you know, petrol, we're bringing everything from abroad. Before, this is pre-Dangote.
Yeah.
We're bringing everything in from abroad. It was costing us a lot of money. There was nothing we could do because you had shipping costs, you had banking costs, you had a lot of
landing costs and all
a lot
of that.
of you needed to store it. You know, there were loads of costs. There was nothing anybody could do about it. PMS price was PMS price. Moving away from PMS, what do we do? What fuel do we have here that we can use, that we won't have to bring from abroad? It's natural gas, because we produce it here. We treat it here. You know, we compress it here. So it was just very easy to use. And we know it is safer, and it is cleaner and more efficient as well. So why not use it while we are building other sectors as well? Because we know that all the sectors, Nigeria is going to keep growing. And we know, because if you look at China, for instance, some people are still using petrol.
Yeah.
As many people are using EVs. Some are still using petrol because it could be for any reason. Maybe they prefer that technology to this other one. But you're creating that privilege of choice for Nigerians by building all these sectors, so Nigerians can be like, okay, look, instead of buying my 1,000 per liter PMS, I think I'll go for CNG, which is 230, 250 naira per liter, or if I can afford to buy
An EV.
the EV. Now, with EVs, you know that you have to buy brand new cars. You can't convert EV cars.
Yes.
You and I already have our small cars that we are using. I'm not able to afford a brand new car. I can't buy a new EV car. So what's the next best thing? Let me switch to CNG and use that, because I'm getting almost the same, what do you call it anyway, from using that. I just want to reduce the cost of my transportation. When we get to a situation where, or people that are able to afford brand new cars will go the EV way if they like. The people that are not able to afford brand new cars, we will convert them to CNG, and they'll still get the same
How affordable
advantages.
is CNG? How affordable is it for me to take my Camry to a conversion center and convert it from petrol to CNG, or make it, you know, bring down my transportation costs?
You know, for a big man like you, you might be able to afford to pay for it outright. But because we realize that the cost of the conversion kit is around 700, 800,000, might be depending, you know, so I need to put that caveat there, because it's like buying a Toyota or a Mercedes or a BMW, you know, they're different, but I'm just using a tentative cost, because I'm not adding the conversion cost to it. That one too is there. If you're not able to afford that number, we have created a program in partnership with the Nigerian Consumer Credits Corporation, where they would fund your CNG conversion.
Okay.
Then you'll be paying, as they say in Nigeria, small, over a period of 2 years.
Wow.
Because we realize that not everybody might be able to afford to buy it outright. So we've created that on the side for people like me that might be interested in switching my car to CNG and is not able to afford to pay outright. So we have that as well. So we've thought about all these things that, look, we won't expect everyone to convert. You can't expect everyone to convert if they see the figure and it's not matching with what they have in their accounts. So we've created for lack of a better word, like a sucker on the side for people that are truly interested and want to do it. So we have that as well.
The question now would be, how easy is it? Because, you know, when initiatives like this from the government come, Nigerians are a bit skeptical. You know, how easy do we access it? You know, okay, this pays small. Are they going to ask for collateral? Are they what are we going to be required to put on the table to be able to even access this initiative? So, how do you douse this various questions that Nigerians have going through their mind? Because I mean, the average Nigerian naturally would want to bring down their cost of transportation, convert to, if, I mean, you just told us what you would burn with PMS for a trip to and fro with CNG would give you 4 trips. I mean, that's a lot of reduction in terms of cost. But how do we access this facility? How do we take advantage of this initiative?
I don't think you have to know anybody, because we have platforms. I think the good thing about this initiative is that it wasn't designed to be a jamboree.
Okay.
It was designed to spur the private sector. And I think that is why it is working. You know, because if it were designed to be a jamboree, then we won't be doing any work. But because it was designed to spur the private sector, that's why you see that we're actually working. You don't need to know anyone. All you need to do is, all you need is that you need to have stable employment.
Okay.
That's number one, because you have to pay the money back. I'll tell you a funny story. When we opened the portal the first time to Nigerians, we just opened it, you know, to see what the interest will be in that. We got about 20,000 applicants.
Wow.
And we're like, oh, wow, there are loads of people interested in this CNG thing. When we started calling them to find out, I said, okay, look, this is what this thing is about. What kind of car are you using? Some didn't have cars. So they just heard about the initiative and they just registered. How won't you have car? Where are you going to convert yourself? You can't convert yourself and carry and carry the cylinder. So what we did was we went back and redesigned our platform to include evidence of work, because you have to be working, or you have to have something you're doing that is bringing money in. So it has really helped. Once you have a job and you can pay 10% of the costs as collateral,
as initial deposit.
Initial deposit, then you can go ahead. I think that's really fair. I think so.
Okay. Are there any challenges? Because, I mean, no invention is 100% perfect. We've seen even EVs being called back. I think recently Mercedes called back some of its EVs because the dashboard screens had some issues and they needed to rectify. So, what are the possible challenges? I wake up tomorrow, beyond the fact that, yes, you've already told us the cylinder has a 20-year lifespan.
Yes.
Are there any other things I should look forward to as someone who's using CNG for my vehicle?
With the technology, no challenge. It's like looking at your petrol vehicle as well. If someone asked you what are the challenges of the petrol vehicle, you won't be able to mention a challenge. And the only challenge you might have with petrol vehicle is that maybe you're driving around with a fuel that's, you know, if something happens, it could explode. But the challenge we're having right now, which is expected, is the one of selling it around Nigeria to Nigerians, as I said, a lot of people still believe that CNG is the same as LPG. We have made progress in that, educating people that these are two different things, and CNG is actually safer than a lot of other fuels. But that challenge will always remain until we cover the whole nation. It's expected. It's a brand new technology. It's just like when mobile banking started, for instance. A lot of our parents didn't want to move near it because they thought their monies would just disappear. You know, so I think with more engagement with the public, we should be able to sell this program much more. Mr. President is trying to help Nigerians. This is the truth. The government is not selling anything. What I mean is putting the skin in the CNG sector. The government is not looking to gain personally from it, but they want to make Nigerians' lives better, Nigerians' lives easier by reducing, at least in the first instance, because I'm sure they're doing some other things in some other sectors as well. But in the fueling sector, they want to reduce the cost of transportation so that that automatically affects every other thing we spoke about earlier.
Okay. You talked about the fact that you're still hoping that the initiative goes around the entire country.
Yes.
In terms of sensitization, orientation,
Yes.
how much has the initiative been able to do? Because you will be surprised, there's still a lot of Nigerians that are yet to know about CNG, talk more of, understand what it's all about. So
Yes.
what's the plan in terms of orientation? What's the plan in terms of sensitization?
So I must say that pipeline gas is not getting everywhere in Nigeria right now. And I think the AKK is currently somewhere after Ajaokuta. So we're still expecting it to go up to Kaduna, then Kano. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you'll find that there are large parts of the north that don't have gas right now. So with the CNG program, what we started doing, how we started was we followed the gas, where there was gas, which means that you have a lot in the west, in the east, and in the north central. So the sensitization followed the deployment as well. That doesn't mean that we're not doing anything in the north. Kaduna, Kano, there are already conversion centers there.
Okay.
There are already conversion centers in Kaduna, Kano. They're even doing some trainings. But we are working to partner with some people currently constructing mini LNG plants in Ajaokuta. All of them are targeting providing gas to the northernmost parts of Nigeria. Once those gas are, once the gas is provided to these areas, then we will use a technology called LCNG, which means you're taking mini LNG, taking it to, for instance, say Maiduguri or Sokoto.
Which is the extreme part of the north.
Yes, you are removing the moisture from the gas. Then you have just your natural gas. You compress it, and then it becomes CNG. You know, it's different from what you have in the south, which is the natural gas just comes and you compress. Now you have to liquefy it so that you can take it further. I think our sensitization will follow
that process
as well. We are working hard on this, and Mr. President has given a serious directive on this as well, to get gas to the north ASAP, because they're showing interest. If they were not showing interest, then you'll be very surprised. They started conversion even before the gas is getting there. Yes, some of them are planning to partner with some people selling CNG in Ajaokuta to transport to the north, but the interest that is being shown from the north, unprecedented.
Well, to wrap up today's edition of Rapid TV's continuously evolving social, political, and general interest show, Korero, compressed natural gas (CNG) cars emerge as a superior choice over traditional petrol cars in multiple aspects from an environmental standpoint. CNG is a cleaner fuel, emitting significantly lower levels of harmful pollutants and greenhouse gases, aligning with the global push towards sustainable transportation solutions. Now, economically, CNG cars offer sustainable and substantial cost saving through lower fuel prices, improved fuel efficiency, resulting in reduced running and maintenance expenses over the vehicle's lifetime. Additionally, modern CNG cars with factory-fitted kits are designed to maintain engine longevity, debunking myths about reduced engine lifespan. While CNG cars may have slightly less power than their petrol counterparts, they provide adequate performance for daily commuting needs. Furthermore, the availability of biofuel systems allows drivers to switch between CNG and petrol when necessary, mitigating range concerns. As infrastructure for CNG refueling stations continue to expand, and with potential government initiatives for eco-friendly vehicles, CNG cars present an increasing viable and attractive option for environmentally conscious and cost-saving customers. Now, in conclusion, CNG cars offer a compelling combination of environmental sustainability, long-term economic benefits, and reliable performance, making them a superior alternative to petrol cars for those seeking a greener and more cost-effective transportation solution. To encourage the adoption of CNG vehicles in Nigeria, it is imperative to implement some of the following, and let me mention them. Quality control, assurance mechanisms must be implemented, and I'm glad that my guest highlighted the fact that there's a team on ground that's looking at every aspect of safety and policy with regards to CNG. Two, conversion plants should import different types of CNG tanks for installation in suitable vehicles under the seats or the roof and close to the exhaust pipe, as the case may be. These are just suggestions as done in relatively other climes. And more enlightenment should be done to alert the public on the personal and environmental benefits of CNG vehicles. It's very important that Nigerians get to understand the benefits of converting from petrol to CNG. And of course, setting up more CNG stations across Nigeria. Now, the factors inhibiting the adoption of CNG vehicles in Nigeria must be considered. To encourage mass CNG vehicle adoption, there is a need for the government, with support from other stakeholders, to ponder on these identified factors while exploring and implementing targeted approach to provide long-lasting solutions to the factors affecting the adoption. And that sums it up for today's edition of Rapid TV's continuously evolving social, political, and general interest show, Korero. My special thanks to my guest, the Investment Coordinator, Presidential Initiative on Compressed Natural Gas, CNG, Babajide. Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure, John.
For making our time to be on the show.
Thank you.
And of course, big thank you to you for allowing us to be a part of your morning and your day. And we hope that this weekend, all you get to think about is how to make that switch as soon as possible. So till we come your way again with another incisive edition of Rapid TV's continuously evolving social, political, and general interest show, I am Nkamian John the Beloved, signing out.